Hello everybody and welcome to round 11 of the Tail Racing Ring Runners. It's time for the TCRs in the dark, as you can see on the combined 24-hour layout of the Nurburgring Nordschleife. Myself, Ewan and James Parfitt taking you through this penultimate round of the season before we get to Duck Week next week and indeed the final round of the season. When we take on whatever car we're going to take on, because we don't know just for the moment. In the AM class, this is how we're standing going into the final two rounds. This is overall points, so 40 points now the advantage for Pat Mish over Stephen Johnson, with Tim Watchout now 101 behind, Then it is Anthony Solomon, only 3 points behind him. Steve Kubey and John Amico now tied for 5th position, followed by Dylan Hessling, who wasn't here last week, and indeed the field goes on from there with lots of drivers who have missed plenty of rounds so far this season. In the pros, Jason Hightower is leading only by 13 points overall, but that's because he missed last week's race. Evan Crowd in behind. Dave Mull only 19 points behind as well. Dan Cossack's in there as well at, 36 points as well, with Corey Stats rounding out the top 5. When we start to apply drop weeks, things get a little bit easier for Jason Hightower. With 2 drop weeks applied, he is 18 points ahead of Evan Crowd. But that does mean the championship is still alive into these next few rounds. He could start to put it to bed now, though. He's on the pole here in the TCRs in the penultimate round of the season, with Dean Diltz just in behind by 7.5 seconds. Corey Stas is in 3rd alongside Scott Sadler, with Tim Watchout on the AM pole from 5th. Evan Crowd is 6th ahead of Pat Mish and Dave Hernandez, who's the first driver to have not set a time. Neither did Dan Cossack or Dave Mull, who round out the top 10. Same for Stephen Johnson and Guillermo Parrett in 12th position. Then we've got Dylan Hessling and Chris Black rounding out the field. Chris Black's first race of the season, and indeed first race I've seen him do in this series, full stop, but maybe he's been here in the past. 14 drivers in the field, and I think we're going to see a much closer race this time than what we did last week.
Yes, it wasn't hard though. We did only have 6 cars last week, to be honest with you. Well, we did have 7, but we lost 1. So we did only have 6. So, it wasn't really hard to basically for everybody to finish. But that shows the imperativeness of getting done. Pat didn't have a great race. He had some issues as well, but he's put in 40 points overall. If you take away drop weeks, at the moment, even with 2 drop weeks, he's still 16 points ahead. So for him, that was well worth doing. That's what I mean. He gained a lot of points last week as well. He gained 33 points, 28 for the placement and 5 bonus points. So it was well worth doing for Pat.
Yep, absolutely. And he's got a big advantage now in the championship with 2 weeks drop weeks applied. He's got a 16-point advantage, but getting dropped next time out is going to be a 18-point score, I think, for Johnson. And for Pat Mish, it's going to be a 24-point score. So that is going to be a 6-point gain for Stephen Johnson. Effectively, he is 10 points behind going into this next race, but he starts behind him here in the TCRs today. It's going to be a very interesting start to this race, especially here with that advantage for Pat Mish. And to see how quickly Stephen Johnson can actually work his way through the field here, that's going to be, I think, one of the biggest things for him here. Get yourself through the field quickly and try and get yourself towards the back end of Mish, because once you're in the slipstream around here in the TCRs, I think you're going to be able to find it relatively easy to stay there.
Yeah, I think so. And we're going to revert really quickly as well the fact that the pace truck has no lights. So there we go.
It's a good job everyone else is shining the way, because otherwise it'd be trouble. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? We've got the pace truck again, even though it's completely unsuitable for these cars. But anyway, never mind. Has there ever been a pickup truck on the Nordschleife in a race? I guess other than the support vehicles or whatever. But yeah, it's a very odd sight, I've got to say. The truck leading the field around. But that's what we've got. Anyway, Jason Hightower is going to be in control of the field soon. He's going to look for another win this season. His winning streak came to an end last week because he didn't take part in the Nissan ZXT GTP race. But he could take an 8th win out of 11 races, which would be pretty remarkable if he could take home the victory in this race here today. Let's see, as he now makes his way out of the final corner and onto the front straight. Hightower now in control of the field after the pace truck pulls in. All of the other 14 drivers pull right into the back of these guys and get ready to go. Hightower doesn't wait around for too long before getting underway. And he will lead in towards turn 1 fairly comfortably here ahead of Dean Diltz, Corey Stas, Scott Sadler, Evan Crowd, all on top of each other. down in towards turn number 1 as well here as they get on the brakes. Hightower leads pretty comfortably out front. Then it is going to be Stas, who's up to second by the looks of things. Then Dilts may be in the field. There's the AM lead of Tim Watchout, who gets up into 6th place as he gets past Dave Hernandez off this start.
Yeah, Guillermo Pera and Dylan Hesseling look like they've made some form of drama. We'll have a look back at that one a little bit later on. Pat has just lost a place to Dave Mole. Mole has just gone past him here. And with Dan Cosick and Stephen Johnson in behind him, Pat really wants to go forward. That's Tim Watchow in the front at the moment. Dean Dills chill, chasing down Corey Stas. I really want to see this man, Mr. Dave Hernandez, take the win, being that he is the community admin for the TCRs in iRacing, so he should be up there at the front, shouldn't he?
You'd think so. You'd hope so. I don't think it is going to be for Dave Hernandez, though, here today, I've got to be honest. He's not been on the podium all season. He's had a few top 5s, but not been on the podium all season. I would expect he might find this a little bit difficult to get himself up there in the TCRs. Wonder whether he's going to be doing the special event this weekend at Fruxton in the TCRs or not. Hope so.
Well, maybe. What special event is there?
It's Fruxton 4 hours, TCRs for 4 hours.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
Sounds right. Sounds like your dream special event, to be honest.
It does, actually. Fruxton and TCRs, I'm there.
It does. Exactly. Watchow just slipped down the inside, tried to anyway, of Scott Sadler there, but couldn't do it for 5th place. Watchow does need to be careful because he's got a nice bit of a buffer at the AM lead at the moment, but he'll throw that away if he's not too careful here. That car is reflecting like you wouldn't believe, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But anyway, Maish and Johnson, in the meantime, are now together already. It's not been a particularly great start for Johnson, although he has got past Cosick. But it's been a bad start for Pat Maish, who's dropped a few places.
Yeah, he has at the moment, unfortunately for Pat. He's down behind Mole. He's lost 2 spots, so he's down behind Mole and Hernandez. Stephen Johnson is there with him, mind you. These guys, of course, battling it out in the championship in the AMS currently, and Stephen trying to clear Mish as quickly as he possibly can. It's a Honda and Audi situation, and that Audi of the Dunkin' Donuts, yes, is reflecting rather horrendously, so it does look white at one point. But Hightower seems to have never been away. He's just leading the field as normal. Yep,
and there's nobody slipstreaming behind him to even benefit there either. So it's a very big lead for Jason Hightower, that is for sure. Scott Sadler is now in 5th position ahead of Tim Watchow, then Dave Hernandez, and look at this on the outside line. Tim Watchow is trying to come through into a Schrenkreuz. Oh, that's close. That was very close, and Watchow is not able to get through on the outside there. Sadler was going to make sure that didn't happen, but look at this down the inside from Tim Watchow. He's got to be careful in towards Arenberg. He will still get the inside line because Sadler was giving him room, maybe a little bit too generous really, on the inside line there as he now comes down the straight. Sadler is going to be right in behind here and alongside, I should say, getting his nose in front now on the way towards Adenauer Forst with Hernandez. Dave Hernandez just watching on behind. Outside line for Watchow, and he's going to be through. That's a very nicely executed move.
Very, very brave indeed there. I'm trying to read what it says under Sadler's wing. I find that quite interesting. But to make any moves on the way up to Adenauer Forest, I am very surprised they've made it through cleanly. And, well, they did. So that's quite a surprise there at the same time. Chris Black, who joined the session, has not joined the session. And it looks like Pat Mish has had drama because he's off the side of the circuit and jumped back to pit lane.
And it might have been with Stephen Johnson, who's also dropped to 12th place now. So this is big drama. There goes Sadler off the road, and Hernandez will come through. Here comes Dave Mull as well. He's up there in the championship, don't forget, overall, Dave Mull, and that's not going to help. He goes very wide around the right-hand there at Callenhard. But, yeah, this is huge for the AM Championship. Pat Mace drops down to 13th place. As I mentioned earlier, he would be taking a drop round at the moment of 24 points. And that is going to be added to his score, or rather this one is going to be taken away from. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with those drop scores after this one, because Mace drops down. Stephen Johnston also is out the top 10 now as well.
Yeah, both of the AMs are not really doing ideal for them at the moment, but I think, as you say, there was contact together. Pat went off and Johnson crashed, so whether or not how far apart that situation was, it does look like it's only a few seconds apart, so we'll keep an eye on that and see how they go. But Stephen Johnson here at the moment, well, Tim Watchout leading the AMs are doing a great job. He has just lost a place to David Anders. Dave has just gone through on him. But it should be now for Watch Out. Nice and straightforward, just keeping it on track.
He's got to focus on just keep it on circuit and not doing anything silly here, but that is easier said than done. The slipstream will be coming for Evan Crowd at the moment, by the way. He's being caught very quickly here by Dave Hernandez. Tim Watch Out benefiting from this as well. He will close in a little bit up the straight on the way towards the mud curve. They go. Look at that, 5/10 of a second it's going to be by the end of this straight. That is a real big advantage. I must admit, I was expecting these TCRs to stay a bit closer throughout the early part of the race, but there's no gap below a second inside the top 3 right now.
No, at the moment they're all fairly spread out. I don't know, how low do we go? Formula V to keep them all together? You know what I mean? Pro lights? I don't know. It's weird, isn't it, that just some cars work like that. These are cars that are combatant in general close racing. You know, where you're door banging, you're making contact, you're chasing each other down and stuff like that. But we're not really getting close. Hernandez is closing up here. Don't start that blinking. Who was that? That was David Hernandez flashing Evan Krautfeld there. Don't start that old light flashing palaver, Mr. Hernandez. Leave that one well alone. Just overtake him on track if you are quicker, as he's trying to do here and trying to make sure he can get through. But yeah, I'm surprised they're not closer.
Yeah, a little bit, but there you go. It's still a circuit you can make a real big difference on as a driver in the TCRs, even as that's down the inside from Hernandez. That's pretty brave on Evan Crowder. Gives him room, in fairness to him, but Hernandez comes flying through on the outside line there. That was very nicely done from Dave Hernandez. And not a place on the circuit you normally see those moves made either.
Definitely not. I don't think we would probably look back, and I don't think we've probably seen one move through there, to be blatantly honest. So I am surprised they got that done. But well done, Dave, for doing that one. Dan Kosick is in behind Dave Mole, making strides forwards at the same time here. So Mole is going to be under pressure from Kosick. It'll be interesting to see what the draft is.
Yep, it will. Let's see what happens down the long back straight. Because it is surprising to see these two so far down the field, really. Dave Muller's 3rd place in the championship. Dan Kosick is 5th. So a little bit surprised to see that as they now come down the hill here. Kosick almost pushing Mull already here. Is he going to try and make an overtake, or is he going to try and push him on and try and get him to get further up the road? Nope, it's going to be just tuck him behind and follow him along. And no surprises there, really. And he's just waiting for an error, it turns out. Dave Mull goes straight on into the barrier.
Yeah, bits of bodywork flying everywhere for Dave Mull, unfortunately for him. But now, Watch Out is just, well, that was, oh, no, he's not. Yes, he is. No, is he? No? What? No?
Oh, whoa.
He's chastaining it around the wall at the moment, is Tim Watch Out. And unfortunately for him, he loses 2 places, but great effort.
It's not allowed anymore, but there you go. He just gets into the wall, and well, that'll be the end of that. Tim Watch Out not in the top 5 anymore. Dan Kosick will probably get past him as well before the end of this straight here. But it's a good job he's got 5 seconds out to the next AM driver in this field as they come down the back straight now. Kosick right in the slipstream here. Sadler's even closer on Evan Crowder. That's for 6th place in the 5th place rather in the field. There's Crowder flashing the lights. Makes a big difference in the dark conditions. You can really see the difference here, and not sure what the flashing is for. Whether he's saying, stay behind me here, let's work together and try and catch some of the others out front.
Or you might be right the first time. He might just try to see where he's going, which is a distinct possibility there for Evan Krautfeld. But Sadler in behind him. Watch out, still Kosick. That Dying a Ho first run was kind of very anticlimactical. Nothing happened, really, in conjunction with anybody making overtakes, apart from Tim Watch Out running the wall.
Yeah, well, on that, that was barely even counts as the straight. He's not much happened on the back straight that time. But that's what happens when the guys are a little bit more spread out here in the early part of the race. Sadler, though, still close to Crowd, and there are going to be some more fights between now and the finish. Stephen Johnson's had to come into pit lane here, by the way. So that's fast repair being taken for him. Not as bad, though, as it was for Pat Mish, who had to tow back to pit lane along with Dave Mull as well, who also had to tow. Johnson and Hessling both taking their fast repairs.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, they've had to use them early, and that's one of the things there. Dylan Hessling jumped back to pit lane after his incident, so he's gone back. Mole went straight back to pit lane at the same time. Johnson, there's a couple that we need to look back at the moment. I think we've got about 5 or 6 to have a look at currently, but Evan Crautfield is under attack from Scott Sadler, and Sadler not really letting him get away from it here.
Not really. This could be beneficial for the two of them. If they just work together a little bit here, they could just catch up to some of those out in front here, but given the way that Hernandez got past Cartard and has now pulled away, that's looking a lot less likely than it is that Tim Watchow is actually going to catch these two, and maybe that's what they're going to focus on here, try and keep Tim Watchow away from them at this stage. But let's see as they come through the chicane at the end of the Grand Prix straight now, and in towards the north side again for the start of lap number 2. Hessling on his way out the pit lane along with Dave Mull as well. It's going to be a fight a little bit further down, but Pat May's down in last.
It's still there. Been in there for 8 minutes. It's really weird, isn't it? Because all of that work he did last time out has gone out the window. It's gone out the window in one foul swoop because he literally just got to put it in a barrier and put him in pit lane. It's such a shame because he did so much during that Nissan race, having incidents and getting the car back on track and scoring points, and the highest scoring points that he has done all season. And then come the next round, it just goes out the window. And it's, you know what I mean? Because now Johnson's in 11th or 10th place, Meeks down in 13. And if Johnson could clear Parrott above him, there's another place he's gained. But then you're asking a lot because he's 43 seconds back at the moment. So I don't know if he's going to be able to quite gain that amount of time.
Yeah, exactly. Coming into... Oh, hello. If he adds more slides like that, then maybe there's a chance. I mentioned at the start of the day that if you apply 3 drop weeks, I think the gap would still be just 10 points between the two. Johnson at the moment would be gaining 4 because you get a bonus point for finishing 3rd in class, but also 3 more points ahead of Mej for finishing 3 positions ahead of him. But it's going to be a drop week for Mej, so we'll just have to tell you at the end of the day what the standings are going to be and how it's going to line up for Duck Week. But one thing is for sure, the AM Championship is going to be a lot closer and probably a lot more interesting actually next week than the Pro Championship, where Jason Hightower is taking another big step forward here.
Yep. The Pro is just wrapped up, isn't it? The way that he's driven, the way that he's, been this season, he has literally been unstoppable, and I think that's the thing. He's just been absolutely amazing, Hightower, and he's just been dominant, and that's what they've managed to get done here.
Yeah. Well, this is the battle we're going to continue to follow for a while now. Crouter versus Sadler. Evan Crouter still second in the championship despite his issues last week. He scored the most bonus points actually out of almost everybody, apart from Corey Stas, of course, who got 35 points, 30 to his name. Crouter last time with 2 drop week supplies. He's just 18 points behind Jason Hightower. But obviously, as you apply another one, Hightower effectively dropping a podium finish. The Pro 2 lights. That is going to come up against just 17 points that are not being dropped at the moment from Crouter. So that would be a loss of another 10 points. It'd be 28 behind as it goes into this race, and losing a whole load more here today as well. And Hightower's going to have this almost mathematically sewn up before this final race even starts. Through X-Muller now, though, for Scott Sadler, who is just on the back end now of Crouter inside the top 5. And he's going to have a big chance now on the way up towards the Muck Curve, that long run uphill. There's possibly a chance at the end of this.
Yeah, there might well be here for Scott Sadler. He's got to basically make the decision on how close he's going to get here. It looks like he's got a bit of a better run. It will all be on setup based at the moment, as we know. Open setup up to Duck Week. Sadler, has he got the pace? Has he got the gusto to try and make the overtake, because he's closing right in. The draft is bringing him in there, topping north of 130 for Sadler. He's got to make a choice. Is he going to be able to have the pace to get that Elantra up the hill? That's going to be the question. And if he doesn't have the pace, well, where's he going to get the job done? Because at the moment, it looks like for Crautfield, he's just holding on here. And for Sadler, he just can't quite get it done yet.
Well, not through there. It's not the most glaring opportunity up the hill there. And so I wouldn't be too concerned about that just yet, but maybe more of a concern a little bit later on is going to be the run to the line, or at least towards the Tiergarten, I should say, on the end of this lap. If you can't get through there, then I think there is a right to be a little bit concerned in a moment. Hernandez, by the way, is catching up to Dean Diltz, and making me wonder a little bit how David Hernandez didn't qualify any better. I guess he must have got off track somewhere around because he didn't set a time at all. But he's very, very quick. He's caught to Dean Diltz pretty quickly here, and he's now looking for a podium.
Yeah, well, I hope Dave should be up there, to be blatantly honest with you. He's the community manager for the TCRs. He loves the TCRs. He drives the TCRs. He's petitioning to try and get new TCRs. But at the moment, he's just not able to do that. Again, we don't want to go into this topic of subject. But for Dave, at the moment, he's close right into the back of Diltz. He's up for a podium here if he can keep this going.
He absolutely is. Maybe your comments earlier about his ability in the TCR starting to ring true now, because at the time he was running down the field, and he thought, well, how's that going to be possible here for him to get a good result? But actually, he's showing himself to be very, very strong now, and he's onto the back of Dean Diltz here for third position. And with still 2 laps to go, if you can get past this time round for Diltz, he might be able to get Corey Stas as well before the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. It might be physically possible, but he's got to clear Diltz as quickly as possible. Oh, Dave, you're going to carry far too much here. Be careful, dude. Careful. He's not going to be as quick coming into the right-hander before Kleins. Hernandez knows that. Backs away just a little bit. Diltz goes up into here, down into third. Keep the momentum going in the car. Get the run. There you go. He's got it again. Don't. No. Whoa! Dave Hernandez!
Wow!
No patience.
What's got into him today?
I don't know. Maybe he's had his Weetabix.
That was extraordinary. You don't see moves on the inside very often there. Mostly because you're just going to get slipstreamed again in the next section, surely. Maybe he's realised here that he might be stronger through the corners than Dean Diltz, and he needs to get ahead. There's no point being behind and trying to make the overtake on the straight there. But, I mean, how many times have we seen him move at the small carousel this season? That's been one of very, very few. Now Diltz, though, is in the slipstream here down the straight. Can he get close enough? He's only gained a 10th, and we're almost at the dip now, and that is not quite quick enough, but it is going to start to increase the rate at which he's closing here, and Diltz is going to be alongside by the end of this, I feel. Sadler's going to be near to Kraut as well. We'll try and keep an eye on both down in towards the Tiergarten, but is Diltz going to give this another go? I think based on the speed that Hernandez is showing, he's got to here. Diltz moves alongside, side by side, through the fast chicanes at the end. They're both up over the curb, but Hernandez holds the inside, and he'll hold the place as well. Kraut will come under pressure from Sadler, and they'll both be caught by Watchow on the straight, but they stay single file sensibly through the Tiergarten instead.
Do you know what as well, for Dave Hernandez, do you know what he was thinking then? Please don't overtake me, because I'm quicker than you on the in section. And this is one of the things that when you drive this track in officials that drives you absolutely bonkers, is you know full well you're faster than some of these people through Nords, right? Through the green hell itself. And you want to stay in front of them. You need to stay in front of them. You get the gap out to about 8 tenths or 7 tenths to a second or more. Next thing you know, you hit the run down into Arenberg. They close back, close up behind you. You're thinking, please don't, because I'm still faster than you and I'm still pulling away from you. You get out of Bergwerk. They catch you going into the carousel bit and you're sitting there going, please don't, because I'm still quicker than you. You get onto the Dottingerhoe through the final there, and they basically catch up with you and they overtake you. You then spend the next lap trying to get past them again. And Dave's sitting there, and you can guarantee he's got Dean Diltz in behind him. And Dave's sitting there going, please don't, because I am quicker than you. Please don't. But he knows that draft is going to pull Diltz into him. He's got to get out to about 1.2, even not 1.5 seconds away from Diltz to nullify Diltz's run coming into the back of him here as well, through to some of the straights, up, as I say, down to Arenberg, up to Carousel, down to Dottingerhoe. He's got to get that gap, because if he doesn't, Diltz is just going to keep coming back at him, and Dave's going to keep pulling his hair out.
Yeah, you can understand it from both sides of the story here that Dave would absolutely not want Dilts to get in his way here, but for Team Dilts, that's pretty much all he's got to hold on to here. I think he's quick enough to hold on to fourth, but it's about whether he can get third or not, and getting third would have required, excuse me, would have required staying in front of Dave Hernandez through there, and unfortunately he wasn't able to do it, so Hernandez is through. Now we'll keep an eye on him as to whether he can catch Corey Stas or not. Scott Sadler still in behind Evan Crowd. There was no positional change that time round from them, but there was Tim Watchow closing in. Now, he's not really being closed on behind from any of the other AM contenders, and so if he just holds on to the position that he's got at the moment, he's going to take the AM class, but he is closing on a couple of pro drivers, and this is some promisingly good speed from Tim Watchow, really, in these TCRs now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to know that Sadler has dropped back away from Krautfeld. They were very, very close together, and now they've dropped back away from him. So Sadler's going to have to try and close that gap back up again. And Watchow's coming at him. I think it was Dean Dilts this time flashing his lights. I don't know if that was just to see where he's going. No, Krautfeld's doing the same thing, I believe. Maybe they are just lighting the track up to hopefully aid in their visuals, because it is quite dark out there. We're lucky I've adjusted some settings to make it a little bit easier for me and you to see, because otherwise we would not be staring at anything.
Yes, unfortunately their liveries are not quite so easy to see front on. I don't know what the deal is with that, but they look well reflective really when you face on sometimes. I'm not sure what it is. Only some of the liveries are appearing like that, but not all of them, so I don't really know why that is a thing, as somebody's brought a load of gravel onto the circuit at Arenberg. Yeah, some liveries a lot more shiny, I'd say, than others.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. To be blatantly honest, I can't answer that question at all. So, yeah, there we go. No idea.
Yeah, it's a bit puzzling, but there you go. There is Scott Sadler working away, trying to get closer to Crowd again, and it was in the straights really where Watchow, where Tim Watchow was closing in, but not anymore. Corey Stas, meanwhile, has just got off the circuit, and I don't think it was a big crash, but it was a loss of seconds. I think he might have just gone wide through Meskersfeld there, and to be fair, if he's gone off through there, which it looks like he has, and he's gotten away with it, then fair play, because that's not normally a place you do get away with it. The gap, though, now under 3 seconds. Last time round, Dave Hernandez did a 9:13.4. That was 7 tenths quicker than Corey Stas, who is being caught now.
Yeah, Stas has basically brought Hernandez in. That's 2.7 seconds. You know the pace that Dave's had. It's 1.9 here at the moment. It's whether or not Hernandez is going to be able to get Stas, or can Stas hang on? That's going to be the question here, and whether or not Hernandez can get closer. But at the moment, Sadler with Evan Krautfeld right in behind him.
Yep. This is going to continue on for some time here. And Dan Kosick might well get involved as well. Don't forget that Kosick has dropped back earlier on in this race, but is showing some good speed now. Not too far behind the likes of Tim Watchow in this race. He's currently running 7th. Down on the brakes for Bergwerk. We haven't seen too much from Sadler up this section of the track, but that was a good exit. Much better exit, actually, than what Crowd had onto the long run up the hill. And have a look at this. This is the best chance that Sadler's had for a little while. Crowd's top 5 place is going to be under big pressure here. Oh, Sadler thought he was going to get shown the outside there, and he tried to get through there, but he couldn't. Now he's going to look left again. Which way is he going to be shown? Crowd just goes through the middle almost, as if to say, pick a side if you want to. Inside line it looks like, but no, Sadler can't do it. He's looking everywhere, but he just can't quite get through at the moment.
Yeah, this is one of these ones where he's going to have to go and make a gap. I'm not saying punt Krautfeld off the track. I'm not saying that at all. He's going to have to use the car to maybe just move him a little bit. Because at the moment, Krautfeld, as soon as Sadler goes one way, Krautfeld's there. As soon as he goes the other way, Krautfeld's there. As soon as Krautfeld don't go anywhere, Sadler's there. He needs to be brave enough to be able to put that Elantra alongside him and just maybe, help him along his way, shall we say, to make a gap.
Yep. Well, there's only one more lap to go after this one. And that's only one more lap of races you can drop being remaining in this season. It is a battle for 5th place, which is going to keep us occupied for the remainder of this one. Tim Watchow just catching up when it matters right at the very end as well, and Dan Cossack's only 3.5 seconds behind. He might well be there by the end of the day. Scott Sadler, of course, the AM champion from last season, now joining in the pro class. Currently 6th place in that pro class as well. Missed a couple of rounds this season, but far more importantly, I should say, he's had a couple of off races throughout. He's been out of the top 10 on 3 occasions so far of the races he's been at. So that is not good for a pro driver. This is one of his better results, and if he can get into the top 5, then that would be the first time since the Pro 2 Lights, where he's been inside the top 5 finishing positions as well. But he's still got a way to go until he can achieve that.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, he's more closer to Watchow than Krautfeld at this moment in time. So for him, he's got to be a little bit more careful, because he can't really keep affording to lose time behind him to be able to not go forward. If he doesn't do that, then he's not going to be able to catch Krautfeld up, and I'm a little bit worried that gap's gone out to a second. Be interested to see how strong the draft is below that, and whether or not that's going to be strong enough to pull him in. But no, doesn't matter now, it's all done.
It doesn't matter anymore. I think Tim Watchow was actually going to overtake him anyway, because he showed very good straight line speed last lap, and Scott Sadler's just gone wide there anyway, so it all pales into insignificance anyway. But through Gavin Kopp they go now. Tim Watchow will steam on up in front now. 1.7 seconds. Just watch that gap come down to Evan Crowd here, by the way. 1.7 as they came onto the straight. That's going to continue to come down here.
Yeah, absolutely. How much, though? That's the question, isn't it? How much is it going to come down? 1.5, 1.4? It's not massive. It isn't massive. Sadler's is teetering on going the other way here, Ewan, which is a little bit unusual. But Watchow did get it down to, where are we, 1.2. Hernandez has got Stas down to nearly 8 tenths as well. So that's going to be an interesting situation for them to see if Hernandez can get that place away.
Yeah, I think that's the more likely of the overtakes, to be honest. I think Sadler just doesn't have the straight line speed that Watchow has, to be honest with you. So there we go. In towards turn number 1. Hernandez has driven very, very well so far today. Last lap, 9 minutes 10.9. That's 4 seconds quicker than Corey Stas. Surely as he starts the lap less than 1 second behind, he is going to work his way through. That'd be 6 places gained on the day and finish in 2nd place.
Well, yeah, but I think at the moment, David Hernandez is going to get that 3rd place away. Stas is going to want to try and keep as many points as he possibly can. It's one thing catching here, but as we know, it's another thing overtaking. So they've got to see whether or not Stas can even basically hold on to this play. Wow. Okay, that was a little bit closer than I expected. But Stas and Hernandez going to fight it out. It's not really within the championship. It's just basically to move each other up that little bit further up that championship.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's going to be an entertaining battle to watch on the last lap anyway, as they come to the end of the Grand Prix circuit for the final time now. Hernandez finally showing that speed, but it's all in behind Jason Hightower again, who's more than quarter of a minute ahead of the rest of the field again. Another big winning margin. I think I said this last time he won, but I wonder if we totted up the winning margins of all his victories this season. I think you get into multiple minutes at the end of doing all that. He has been pretty phenomenal this season. Stas and Hernandez, though, fighting over the runner-up, which is a very honourable place to have this season. Through the left-hander, onto the north side they go. Hernandez applying a lot of pressure here. And based on some of the overtakes we've seen so far, who knows where this movie is going to be made.
Don't leave the door open at Client Carousel, Stas. That's all I can say with David Hernandez, because he literally took a nosedive straight up the inside there on Dean Dilson, got the job done. Maybe Dave's just like anytime, any place, anywhere. He just wants to, if there's a gap there, if gap car, he's going in it. And for Stas, he's got to be careful. This is going to be an thrilling battle as everybody else has got a little bit more spread out.
Yeah. This is the one to watch. I think Krautwald could be under a bit of pressure late on in the lap, but we'll see about that later. Hernandez is going to make this move pretty shortly, I would say. Up in towards Flugplatz now, over that rise. No airtime in these cars, not quite fast enough through there. Pretty much absolutely flat out through here as well, the right-hander. And he's just losing a little bit of time, actually. If Stas has got a bit of straight-line speed about him, then this could get interesting, and it could keep Dave Hernandez behind for just a little bit longer. Now down or over the rise again towards Schrenkreuz. Yeah, that wasn't brilliant straight-line speed for Hernandez compared to Stas there.
I wonder if he's got the corner speed but not the top speed. I'm wondering if he doesn't get him by the dotting a hoe, is this gap going to go the wrong way? Sorry, apologies. Is it going to go the wrong way? I.e., is Stas going to actually pull away from Hernandez even though Hernandez is in the draft? We know it's not massively strong, Ewan. It's not open-wheeled strong. It's literally, you might get a couple of attempts, but is that going to be the situation? Has Stas got less on compared to what Dave Hernandez has got on?
I think that much is pretty certain, but whether that means in the slipstream Hernandez is not going to get anywhere remains to be seen. The slipstream certainly does exist if you, in certain circumstances anyway. It was certainly a present for Tim Watchow earlier on when he was behind Sadler and Krautwald. He was the one catching them both. He'll be one to watch if he gets within a second of Krautwald, which he is right now, but there's a lot of corners between now and that long straight for him to negotiate still. Through Callanhard now for these two. Hernandez has got to start using some of these corners. There's a nice section here all the way between now and Bergwerk for him to get right up close, and he is doing now. Yeah,
he's got to get as close as possible and give himself the best opportunity he can here. He's got to just basically follow, preferably not getting too close. He's got to make sure that he can at least get to the end of the race here, and Hernandez is doing it again. He's just trying to go around the outside now. If he does this, oh my God, David Hernandez, Weetabix aplenty this morning. He's going to look up the inside, is he?
Oh!
He's going to, oh no! He's pushed it back straight.
He's corrected him.
Go. They've got each other back straight, and they are off. But Dave again.
Anywhere.
No place is safe at Nords here from Dave Hernandez.
Yeah, he's going to fire down the inside again here. I think Stas wasn't really expecting him to do that, and now Hernandez is through. But is Stas going to come back again now on the straight, because he does have more straight line speed as we've seen already. He's not going to have the momentum, but he will have the slipstream here, and he will get right up to the back end of Hernandez through Gustafsson. Now it's starting to turn the right way for him here. He's starting to bring that gap down again now as they come towards Gustafsson. Less than 2 tenths of a second. Stas has got to come through here, otherwise he's lost second place for good. And Hernandez wants the inside, and there goes Stas into the back of him. Wow, that doesn't make any sense. He's trying to push Dave Hernandez. Whether Stas wants to confirm a podium, I don't know, but surely by staying behind like this, he's given up second place.
It's the pace, it's the speed. That's the problem. It's not the cornering. The cornering Dave's got all day. With that car, he's got more wing. We think he's running a higher downforce. Stas has got the speed, so Stas might be using Dave to follow him all the way through until he gets to the dotting a hoe, and then may turn around and go, right, I'm off now. You haven't got quite the pace I have. I'm going past you, and he might leave him there, let's not forget. Hernandez has got to get 1.2 maybe to try and extend this gap out. Corey Stas has just got to stay behind him. So I think Stas, although we're sitting his end, he might have just thrown away second. I don't 100% sure know if he has here. And I think he might just be doing the right thing and waiting to the straight.
I think that's a bit, well, it might pay off, but I think this is risky from Corey Stas. I don't see how he can stay with Dave Hernandez with a worse handling car. Look at that already. Sliding in the background there. He's pushing hard. There's no doubt about that. But surely this is going to come to nothing for Corey Stas. How close does he really need to be is, I guess, the other question. We don't really know the answer to that question at the moment either. Hernandez has got to push through this final sector here as much as possible to try and distance Stas here. Dean Diltz is just lurking, but he's surely not going to be really playing much of a role in this one here. Now through Brunson, that's a bit wide for Stas. The gap's growing here, but has it grown enough?
No. I don't know. Do you know what, though? Think back, Ewan. I know it's tough, and I know me and you sleep, and we know we're not commentating on just car. Think back before where we had that literal 2-second gap or 2.5-second gap, and the car 2.5 seconds roared past the car in front on the dot and a hoe. I don't think we're realistically sitting here saying 1.2, 1.5. But whatever Stas, if Stas has got a low setup on that and Hernandez hasn't got that 1.2, 1.5, I think Stas is going to come through. And I've got a funny feeling here, Hernandez could be in trouble. He didn't get the gap he needed. He did what he had to do and overtook them, but he didn't get the gap he needed. And the problem is now, Dave! No!
It's gone. It's gone. And Stas intensely stays behind him. Wow. So Hernandez was trying to give it everything there to try and stay in front, but it's all come to nothing now. Stas is surely going to get through. It's just a case of whether he comes through too early or not. 0.3 of a second. You can see Stas out the slipstream initially there. He wants the slingshot here. He wants to leave it late in the straight. He doesn't want to go through too soon. Otherwise, it's going to give him trouble later on. Out front, Jason Hightower is going to win again in this series. It's his 8th win in the first 11 races this season. He is on a fantastic run. Is Jason Hightower, and he's going to win comfortably. Who is going to finish in second, though? There's Hightower. Now he takes the checkered flag. Is Hernandez going to join him, his teammate? They're in the same livery, and Stas is trying to separate them here. Down the straight, under the bridge, and down the other side of the hill. Stas has got a good run here, and he's got a good chance as well. He goes through. He goes through into second place. Hernandez gave it everything, but he's not quite got the position in the end. He's super close to Stas. He knows he's quicker, but he's not in front. Corey Stas finishes second ahead of Dave Hernandez. Further behind, Tim Watchow got really close to Crowd at the end as well. I thought there might have been a change there, but it turned out Watchow wasn't quite close enough. He has got a good exit, but it doesn't really matter for his win here today. He's going to take the race from 6th place in this one. It's going to be a photo finish, but it's going to be the AM victory, the most important thing for Tim Watchow. Great win from him, and very nearly got a top 5 overall there as well.
Yeah, Scott Sadler comes over the line, Dan Cosick comes over the line. Then we're just waiting for Guillermo Parra come over the line as well. Stephen Johnson, although he gained points on Pat, he had an opportunity to gain a chunk, and he didn't, and he couldn't take it there. Unfortunately for Stephen Johnson, will catch up. There's not loads of incidents to look at, mind you. To be honest, I think there's like 6 for us to have a look at here. But yeah, Johnson just unlucky. Dave Mole a little bit further down. We know Dave's had to pit as well. So did Stephen Johnson, and so did Pat Meesh, and we lost Dylan Hesseling. So unfortunately, they're going to be the ones we're going to have a look at going here as well.
Yeah, but not too many incidents, but a lot of racing there for us to have a look at. That was a very good race. You know, after last couple of weeks where it's been a bit more spread out, especially the ZXT GTP, which I guess was more expected, but these TCRs in the end did provide fantastic racing.
Yeah, they did. Once they come together, this is the problem. Once Hernandez had caught Stas, they come together. Watch out, Sadler and Krautfeld had their own little thing going on. You know, when they come back together, it was great racing, but there was a time when you were sitting and thinking, oh my God, what is it about certain cars at the Nords where we end up with them so spread out? I didn't really get some of that situation. But look, next week is the one, right? It's the championship run. It's Duck Week. It's Meesh, it's Johnson, it's Hightower, it's Krautfeld. They're all going to have gloves off. I don't know if anybody's going to catch Hightower, to be honest. I think it's a little bit unrealistic, but the AMS Championship is still open.
Yeah, I think it is probably very unrealistic for anybody to catch Jason Hightower at this time around, but there you go. The gap will be 19 points going into the final round, so it's still possible, and we will have to see how many we even get at Duck Week. That could be quite crucial as well. There goes Dave Mull over the line. That performance puts him down to 3rd in the championship. Now that's pretty secure as well. He'll have to look over his shoulder at Corey Stas, Dean Diltz, Dan Cosick and some of the others as to whether he's going to hold on to that place next week as Pat Meesh comes over the line. wounded, walking wounded, but still with a championship lead to hold on to. 13 points he's got over Stephen Johnson going into the final round. Well, let's have a look at the race results then before the replay run through. It's Jason Hightower who wins another huge victory. 25 seconds in front of Corey Stas. Hernandez battling with him. Dean Diltz watching on from a couple of seconds behind. Evan Crotto rounded out the top 5, although only just beat Dimwarchow, the AM winner, to the line. Then it was Scott Sadler and Dan Kosick, the last 2 AM champions, one after the other. Guillermo Paré and Stephen Johnson round out the top 10, with Dave Mull and Pat Mish in the lead lap. Dylan Hesselink did 2 laps, so we'll get points at least. And Chris Black did not take part in the race, despite he practiced earlier on in the day. So, few replays before the end.
Yeah, this is Guillermo Parra at the beginning. Wondering if he's just picked up. No, there is going to be contact. Is there? No, it's just one. Ooh, a little bit raggedy.
Overly slowed there.
Yeah, Dylan Hesselink is caught up in the same thing. Yeah, I think he just got caught up in the same entrance going into one, and it's just overly slow. Now, this is the one we want to have a look at. This is whether or not this affected Stephen Johnson. Yes, they followed each other.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Him going off affected him. Oh, somebody else's.
Wow. I think that's Pat Mish's bumper flying through the air.
That was impressive. So yeah, so Pat going off. Stephen just got tunnel vision. Followed him. Look, there goes Pat. Stephen goes over the curve, loses it, and then unfortunately ends up in the barrier. So that sent Pat back to pit. Steve did carry on and try to get the car back to a pit. So let's say Pat Mish's bumper going off there as well. Dylan Hesselink is another one who had his own little bit of drama. Power! Oh, whoa. See the snapback the other way. That was mighty.
Yeah, well, it always seems to happen like that, unfortunately. It's very easily done. Here is Dave Mull. We saw this at live. Just went a bit wide through the first part, smacked the wall at the second part.
Oh, do you know what makes that so much worse? He grabbed him. Watch as he comes in, there's a double jolt on the body, and it literally grabs him in. So he's going to go and hit it once, then grab it there. And that's where...
It's a bit annoying.
Yeah, if he just literally touched it, he might have been all right. But the fact that he grabbed him in and pulled him in there, and that was it. This is what sent Dylan Hesselink back to the pit lane. He's already crabbing there, isn't he? He's already broke.
I don't know. Well, it definitely will be after this.
No, he's turning right, Ewan, and nothing happened. So I wonder if that is still in conjunction with this one, and whether or not it was the same, and that was him trying to get the car back to... That surely wouldn't have damaged his car to do this, though.
Well, let's see this again. See, I don't think that car is damaged, to be honest. But it is now, obviously. But
jump back to pit lane.
I don't think it was before. I think it's just a difficult... We saw Pat Mace and Stephen Johnson both make a mistake through there, so I think that is very, very possible that it was just an error, even if his car was fine beforehand. Well, that's it for the TCR race. You've got to say I did quite enjoy that. Couple of good finishes towards the end. Dave Hernandez flying through the field. He'll wonder what he could have done had he qualified, obviously. But there you go. That was a good race overall to bring us to Duck Week next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I enjoyed it. It's going to be interesting to see where we're at with the standings, Mr. O'Leary.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in the pro standings, Jason Hightower is going to be leading the way, unsurprisingly, 19 points ahead of Evan Crautard. That does mean that any top 12 finish should be enough, and we'll hopefully get more than 12 in the race, but top 12 will be required. Even then, if he finishes outside of that, Crautard would need all 38 points, which includes not getting any incidents throughout the race, which could be quite difficult. Dave Moore's out of it mathematically, but we'll battle away for third, as I said, with Corey Stas only 8 points behind, and Dean Diltz only 19 points behind. Dan Kosick is 25 behind. That's unlikely for him to get into third place in the championship, unfortunately for him. He will try and hold on to a top 5, though, at least ahead of Scott Sadler, who's 15 points behind him. Further down are those who have missed a lot of races this season. In the AMP standings, it is very much a race between 3, actually, after Tim Warchow's win here today. Pat Mish is 13 points ahead of Stephen Johnson and 30 ahead of Tim Warchow. So Warchow does need to, probably win, actually, overall, which could be quite difficult. But he is mathematically in the game. More likely, though, is that Stephen Johnson puts Mish under some pressure because he's only 13 points behind.
When you mentioned Tim Warchow, I was like, that's a long way back. It's like 30 points. He's got to go and take the win, plus get bonuses. Pat's got to practically not finish. But I don't know why I say that as if that's a dream scenario, because it literally could happen here, to be blatantly honest with you. So we're going to have to find out. I'm looking forward to it, seeing what car we got.
Absolutely. To remind you, of course, if you've not seen the series before, Duck Week is the week that you cannot drop. The final race of the season, always taking place on only the Nordschleife and not the long layout. The car is decided 30 minutes prior to the session, which opens with a 1-hour practice session starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Wednesday evening. So it is not known by us or anybody at this moment in time. They only know 30 minutes before the session ends. We'll be back with that broadcast, of course, pretty soon after it has finished next week, of course. But from myself, Ewan O'Leary and Jed Parfitt, it's goodbye from the North Side. We'll see you next week for Duck Week. Goodbye for now.